Welcome to Kaks Bar and Podcast, Canada's first podcast bar. What that means is you can come here for food, you can come here for drinks, you can also come here and record a podcast. Come on down, we're located in downtown Calgary, Alberta in the Beltline area. See you soon.
Cool. Hey, welcome to our post-game show of playing the first game of 10th I've ever played, and our first battle report that is not going to be going live because we fucked up the audio. So,
hey, learning experience.
That's what it was. But thanks for coming and teaching me it too. It is the same, but it's completely different.
Yeah, I actually really like it. I feel like that the simplifications to some of the rules definitely makes it a bit more friendly for people to get into the game.
Sure.
And, once you know the rules, I think it'll actually flow a bit faster as well. So, yeah, it's refreshing for somebody that's also just started playing this year.
Yeah, because you probably say, okay, how long have you been playing Warhammer? That's actually the real question.
I literally started playing Warhammer in February of this year.
Oh.
So, yeah, I just joined an Escalation League, and that's where I met you.
Yeah.
You were the first game of Warhammer that I played in that league, and that's when I started just getting into the world and actually enjoying the tabletop game aspect of it.
Okay, sure, that's the competitive side of things, but for painting and the other, because Warhammer is not just about the competitive play or the tactical play, it's about the hobby itself and then telling a story between two people, like a narrative between two people, is the way I always like to say it. Actually, Nick said it to me once, and it kind of stuck with me. So, so you have not been just starting painting since February? No. Because your painting is, you have the grimdark thing, you have these crazy techniques that, experienced painters do. So tell me about that. So when did you start doing that? Because that's a totally different side of the game.
Well, I think, the whole painting aspect of the Warhammer side of things, I've been painting longer than I've started painting Warhammer. I was painting models and miniatures back in 2011 when I was studying physiotherapy in New Zealand, and kind of painted on and off over the years, but actually really getting into trying to progress my skills as a painter or an artist. It was kind of more 2020 at the start of the pandemic, and I was just looking for fun things to do while I was at the house, and was looking at a bunch of YouTube videos and started going down the Instagram train.
Sure.
Opened up an account and just started practicing and trying to hone my skills, really.
Right. And not only did you hone your skills, you have a 3D printer, so you print some of your own models as well, but tell me about some of the techniques that you found that you learned that really escalated your skill level.
There's so many talented people on Instagram, and I take bits and pieces from everyone. There's a guy, El Miniaturista, who is known for just this super clean, awesome look, and he's just a master at OSL or object source lighting to make things look like they're glowing just with using paint. So I started practicing doing that. And there's other artists that are just amazing at using epoxy putty to customize their models or kit bash their models to make something completely unique. So I dabbled in that. There's some artists that are fantastic at a grimdark style, which is a beat up, nitty gritty, war torn style essentially that tries to make the model look like it's seen some battle, it's seen some wear and tear, and it's old and weathered. So I've just dabbled a little bit here and there and just tried to find my own style.
And what do you find that your style really is when you look at it? If you were to describe your style or describe, how when it comes to competitive play, I'm more of a mid-range player. I like playing that mid-game and kind of doing those smart moves. But when it comes to painting, what kind of style would you be?
I almost feel like I have my own style in that I like the bright color models and the clean looks that some people have, but I like to try to incorporate that with the grimdark style. So I'll start off a model with really bright, vibrant colors, and then I'll start breaking it down and weathering it. So some of my models will look like they have really bright, vibrant colors to it, but you'll also see the weathering, the wear, the tear, the battle-worn nature to it. So I've just tried to combine all sorts of stuff that I've learned into, I guess, my own style.
Yeah, and I would say that with your Custodies, they are. I mean, that custom model, that Blade Champion there, like you had a bright pink. Is it pink? I got it right?
You know,
I can't remember which one.
Weapons?
But the weapons are that bright neon pink, but then you have this worn down armor, and then also like in a forestation kind of base, like on a hill with some leaves and whatever, but it's all still like worn down, but still glowing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Totally. Since I started expanding and learning more about painting, I've reached out to a lot of different artists on Instagram and started building relationships with them. And that model that you're just talking about was actually kit bashed and made from a guy named Red Heavy Minis who lives down in Texas. And we did a swap where he built that model for me. It came completely unpainted. And then I painted a model for him in return. And so he sent that to me, and I was like, I want to make my own Custodies, like custom chapter, and so I made them what I call the red mains. But yeah, for the object source lighting, for one weapon, there's fluorescent pink and purple and orange, and then the other weapon, there's blue and green fluorescent lighting, the worn, beaten up red armor, and like you said, the jungle base. It's just fun. I like to. It's relaxing. It's fun to just be creative.
So with that. So with the Custodies, do you have a narrative with the red mains?
So I'm trying to learn more about the 40K lore, but it's so in depth. There's so much to learn and read about. It's hard to kind of come up with your own twist on it. And I've dabbled, and like with the red mains, the idea, like with the models, when you actually look at them, you'll see that anything that's fur is actually not red. It's actually like a deep green, almost like teal color. And people have commented, being like, well, why are they called the red mains, but all their fur is not red?
Sure.
And the idea is, the Custodian Guard are supposed to be the Emperor's protectors. They're the Emperor's Guard. And for a lion, the mane of the lion is supposed to be protective of its neck. It's symbolic of it being the king, but it also protects the lion's neck from attack.
Yeah.
And so the idea behind the red mains was that these are an elite custodian force that actually surround the emperor on the golden throne and act as his mane. They are the protection for the emperor directly.
I think that is amazing, the way you described that there, because that really brings a lot more life to the Custodians. Because, have you read the books?
Yes.
Yeah. So Horus Heresy?
So not all of them.
Okay.
I'm listening to some audiobooks.
That's all I
and
do.
then read a few other ones. But
Yeah.
I've read like Constantine Valdor and Emperor's Champions and stuff.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So you're there. I just remember like even the first book in the Horus Heresy, like Horus Rising, a custodian just kicking off a guy like this golden armor, and just they're scary.
Yeah.
Right? Like a Space Marine or a Astartes are just they're 8 feet tall. They're already huge guys, and they're scared of the custodians.
Yep.
So having that, like, not your red mains aren't the ones that are going out into battle. They're the ones protecting the emperor, right?
They're the elite of the elite.
Yeah.
Of the chosen.
Of the chosen, exactly. Right. Yeah. So they're just that one step above. They're the ones touching the emperor in a way.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I guess the emperor's dead, so not doing much.
Dead,
I guess they are fighting,
dead
maybe.
On his throne.
Yeah. Would they be protecting him then, or would they be going out?
It all depends on what's happening in the lore nowadays. Like, the Custodians are going out and actually, like, wreaking havoc through the galaxy, from what I understand. So maybe they would be. I don't know. Maybe.
Well, yeah, they would be, because they're trying to spread the Emperor's word and spread mankind into the galaxy and try to get control of this galaxy again, because it's out of control. Totally. I mean, you got the Tyranid force, you got the orcs coming up too, and actually Tyranids are the ones that are the scariest because they eat biomatter and then they transform. And
how about those Necrons? I just got wrecked by your Necrons.
Those guys, you know what? They're pretty good in 10th edition though. Lichguard. Why don't we talk about Lichguard for a second?
Yeah, MVP for sure.
100%. I mean, with their rule status, like, okay, so just for anyone else listening, they have, and anyone who understands the rule, they basically just take the beatings. They just take it, and then they can revive because they're robots. What Necrons are is like, you ever watched the movie Terminator? That's exactly what they are.
Yeah.
They come back, they reanimate, they repair themselves, and that's what they do.
Yep.
And in these particular rules in 10th edition, they just trumped. They, you threw something at it, they didn't care, and then they just hit you. Yeah,
exactly. Like I was playing my Night Lords, and I've played a few games of 10th already, like we talked about before, and the Dark Pax ability was just so fun and so strong, and it's like absolutely decimated other people that I've played against, allowing me to have extra dice to hit people with,
yep.
or just making it so that my weapons go directly through so that you have to save right away. But like, you just steamrolled me with those Lich Guards.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a 4-up invul and then a 5-up feel no pain is it's pretty deadly, and -1 to wound.
Yeah.
Like those you have to beat a lot of layers just to get to a couple wounds through them, and then they can reanimate them back.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know what the meta is. I think that's the way to build them. I don't know if I'm wrong in some rules or whatever it is, but if they're not building it that way, I think you're doing something wrong.
Totally.
Right? Like Overlord, Technomancer, 10-man, Lich Guard, just go right in the center of the battlefield and just hold it.
Yeah.
And that's the way to play them. And then, their guns are okay. All their guns do lethal hits, so that's really good because they're Gauss weapons.
Yeah.
Right? Which makes sense for the lore.
Totally.
Yeah. I don't know how good the Silent King is yet. I haven't tried him, but I'd be excited to try him because in the history of Warhammer here, the Silent King is like he's Primarch level, like the son of the Emperor kind of. He's ruled the galaxy 15 million years ago, and he went to sleep, the Great Sleep, and now he's back. And that's how he kind of rose at one of the tombs. He's like, what the heck is going on here? This was our galaxy. Now they're trying to take over again.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're awakening in other worlds and stuff. So you can see that they they woke in Mars. Like, where were these guys? Oh, they had dominated Mars 15 million years ago.
Yeah.
That was their planet. And that's what the Necrons do. I'm still a big fan of Death Guard, more so, but that's just me. I love Chaos.
You know what? Like, Death Guard have such a cool aesthetic to them, and I've painted a few Death Guard with like a bit of a twist, more of like a nautical theme that 3D models created by a guy named Mezgeik in Australia that I chat with regularly. Fun army. Really cool, really awesome with atmosphere around them.
Yeah.
But Necrons are cool too. Like, I would love to make a Necron army and then just like do some crazy paint scheme with them and field them.
What's the paint scheme that you would have? Like, what's one in mind?
It wouldn't be lore friendly because they don't rust, but
right.
I love some of the rust products out there. Just make them look so beat up, worn. Yeah, I think it would be super cool. Throw on like a bunch of object source lighting with like different colors. I could go green or
pink.
Pink, yeah. Like,
I saw one guy who did like a Skeletor army.
Oh yeah, that'd be super cool.
Right?
Yeah.
So you just you do blue and then what, like I guess like a neon yellow kind of face.
Yeah.
And then the Overlord would have a hood, just green stuff on a hood.
Yeah.
I could see that. That'd be fucking.
You know what? Like, even like 3D printing some custom Terminator parts.
Okay.
And actually have like an Arnold Schwarzenegger like Terminator themed Necron army. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah,
too.
so you do the red eyes. I don't. Yeah, I guess like what? But I mean, that's pretty basic though. That's simply just dry brushing silver, wouldn't it?
Yep, but like again, doing the 3D printing of pieces and like actually kit bashing them, you could put on different heads or even 3D print like a bunch of the models too, so that you have like biker jackets on some of them or something. You can just make it unique.
I
right?
see. Yeah,
so you do like T100, and then all of a sudden for Lich Guard maybe like some T1000s or something with like.
Yeah,
like molten shield or liquid
some
metal
some sunglasses on there.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Totally.
Yeah, and the skeleton's there for you. Yeah. Like you can work around it. Like it's kind of like the flayed ones. You know, see the flayed ones? Yeah.
So like the flayed ones, you could again have like a T1000 with like a bunch of like bullet holes, like they've been shot up, but they're still coming at you.
Yeah. And could you make it like a liquid metal effect?
Oh, totally.
How could you do that?
I don't know.
Okay.
I would have to do a bit of reading, but yeah.
Yeah.
So much is possible now with all the different products available.
Yeah. What's your favorite line?
Oh man, I love Pro Acryl from Monument Hobbies. They make.
I haven't heard of them.
Yeah, they're awesome. So they make awesome products. I use them on like 99% of the models I paint. But yeah, they make some really good just acrylic-based paints. I like the Dirty Down products. They're like a specialized company, I think, in the UK that makes like special effects products for like movies and stuff, and they made their own paint line.
Oh.
Yeah.
And just for miniatures.
You could probably use it for anything, but
Right.
it's advertised heavily for miniatures.
Oh, cool. I've been getting into AK more.
Yeah, AK makes some great stuff too. Like I have
Yeah.
a few paints from AK, some inks, and
Yeah.
that's great. Like the world's an oyster, and when it comes to paint products, I try a whole bunch of stuff: Citadel, Pro Acryl, Dirty Down. I have stuff from Vallejo, like
Vallejo, the pigment paints. You showed me those actually.
Yeah, the pigments,
That's great.
The works, right? There's enamels from AK, and I think it's MIG as well. Like, yeah, there's so many companies out there with different products and similar products, and it's just fun to explore and see how it works.
How do you feel about oil painting?
Oil painting is super new to me. Like, I use oils sometimes for the weathering because they're very forgiving. I can use like mineral spirits to just like completely take it off, or like thin the paint down a little bit and use them as like washes to fill in the crevices.
It really gives a lot of control.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but that's something I'm exploring, and I would love to paint a model completely in oils and see how that.
Yeah, I saw a few on YouTube. They had like the mineral spirits on the side, and they had all the different colors. I think they were painting like a Wonder Woman or something. I'm like,
oh yeah,
how do you do this all in oil? Like, I understand oil for like techniques, like that again, like you said, the forgiving techniques, like that weathering, like what I did with my Paragon war suits, like shit like that. Like, okay, you gotta. Actually, I did that in my entire sister's army. Hey,
yep,
I did that.
It looks great.
Yeah, they look awesome, man. Yeah, that oil paint, because I thought before they kind of looked like a little chalky.
Yep.
Right, with that white paint, and they really needed to get a little dirty.
Yep.
And that's exactly what that Grimdark did. So that was
sick. You got some pigments on the feet too to make it look like a little bit of rusted ground. And
well, I took advice from you there because I was like, okay, how do I add? Because I want to blend the rust. I guess like it's more of like an industrial rust base is what I was doing, right? So how do I blend it? Because it should be blended in as one thing. It shouldn't be, hey, I'm on base now. You know what I mean? Like it should be telling the story.
Totally.
Yeah. What about those? I saw on Play On too. They do like those 3D prints on their bases. Have you seen that?
Yeah. Like they have they have sponsorships with Deadly Print Studios, I think it is.
Yeah.
And so Deadly Print Studios makes 3D models for like special effects for the models where you're firing a las cannon or a railgun or something, and then you can just print that effect and then glue it onto the model and then paint it so it actually looks like that vehicle is firing something.
Yeah.
Or you print a bunch of pieces for your base and then again get something unique like that like jungle based stuff.
Yeah.
You can print the actual plants.
What other armies do you have?
So right now I have my Night Lords, so Chaos Space Marines. I have my Custodes, the Red Mains, and then plans to make some armies in the future as well.
Yeah. Well, you said you painted 20 Necron warriors in an hour.
Yeah. So for Christmas from Santa, my son got the Warhammer recruit box, and that came with like a bunch of Space Marines, came with a bunch of Necrons, so we were spending time together doing some painting, and I based his Space Marines. We were using some contrast paints so that he can just kind of learn, and then with the Necrons, I was painting those up and was just trying to get them ready for the table so I could play with them.
And did you play with them?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So were you playing with your son, or was it you?
Yep. Yeah, I was playing with my son, and we were just going through the rules, learning some 9th back then, before 10th was out. And he loved it. He absolutely loves playing Warhammer any chance he can. He's like, Dad, can we play a game? I'm like, yeah, sure.
Heck yeah. How many points? Do you usually put 500?
So he's slowly been building up his army. I think he's probably about 750 to 1,000 points now.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, normally we'd play like 500 to 750 points, and normally it would just be like no objectives, no missions, just
only war.
Just only war.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I wish I hope that one day my daughter will get into it, and that'd be the coolest thing. Like she just sits down with me and just starts painting, and then, hey, can we play? I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Of course we can.
You know, my daughter loves painting miniatures too.
Yeah.
My son is 8, my daughter's 5.
Okay.
And when I got my 3D printer, that was actually probably the biggest reason why I got it was to actually have a cheap alternative to buying models, to actually just print them and make models so that my kids could just go to town and learn how to paint, because they see me and how much I enjoy it. And I was like, hey, you know what, if you want to do that, I want to share that with you, and let's just make some models that you can just go to town on.
Yeah. That's really cool. So with 3D printing, though, there's a lot of trial and error learning it, isn't there?
100%.
Yeah.
It was a way bigger learning curve than I ever imagined.
Yeah. I've only heard I've heard nightmare stories about it.
Yeah. But, resin printing, I think, is more forgiving than filament. So resin printing is when you use that liquid plastic and it cures and hardens under UV light. So a lot of people have like patrons and different stuff where you can pay $5 to $10 a month and get like a whole schwack load of models that are pre-supported. So you just put them into a program, and then that will slice the model up, and then the printer will do the rest.
Do you have to like take off the bits too, or
after it prints? Then there's like all the cleaning and taking off of the bits and whatnot. But it's much more user friendly now than when I started a couple of years ago.
Oh, a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people do it for like D&D models and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that's like their. I guess it is a big market for it in Warhammer too, but it really depends on TOs, right? Because sometimes I know we were at this one RTT. Those are Rogue Trader tournaments. They're like a little smaller one. And there was one in Calgary today actually, but we were at one and they had a resin model from Creature Caster.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, that's not G-Dub. I could lose my license if this wasn't that." And I just said, "Well, it wasn't me. It was my friend." And he's just like, "Come on, like that's a demon prince.
Yeah.
Like that's a demon princess, whatever it is. Like that's what that is. Like you're not gonna lose anything. Like I maybe in hindsight you email the TO and say, hey, is this okay?
Yeah.
But like, yeah, come on, it was an 8-person tournament. It wasn't a big deal. Like
totally. And like for me, I just wonder where the line is, because you try to go play at a Games Workshop and they have a strict policy, only Games Workshop models. I get that.
Sure.
My entire Custodes army is not 3D printed. Like I have the Forge World Telemon Heavy Dreadnought, the Forge World Achilles Contemptor Dreadnought. I bought bits for the Sagittar Custodes. I have like the entire like army starter box for the Custodes. Everything is legit GW except for the heads.
Okay.
I don't like the custodian heads, so I printed the red mane heads.
Right.
Is that not allowed at a GW store? Is that not allowed in a tournament?
I
Because
think it
it's
would
3D
be though.
printed?
Yeah, but I mean, you have say 90% of the model. Like that should be fine,
Should be.
right?
But how strict are people going to be if you have your entire army that is GW and then you have one proxy for a demon prince? That's not okay. Like it just, where's the line? I think that
But then if you put green stuff and change their head, like that's okay,
well, and that's just it.
right? Like
they encourage people to kit bash and
sure they do.
make something unique.
Yeah.
But then if you get something that is 3D printed on that model, then it's not all right. It's not kosher. Like it's
Right.
So I just wonder where that line is, and like I'd love it if GW actually just sold some 3D files for people to have and embraced it, really.
Right, like you see the Henry Cavill heads for Custodes,
Right.
like things like that. Like that's just funny.
Right?
Right.
It's hilarious, and it brings more attention to the game when people are like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and like they can. Well, again, it's that whole brings the narrative between two people because like this is the army that you built and you made. Yeah, sure, you changed the heads, but you made a whole narrative behind who they are. These guys are the mane of the emperor. Like that's just what they are, but they're not going to have a regular helmet.
Yeah.
They're going to be different,
Yep.
right? And if you're not able to support the narrative, then how are you growing the narrative, right? So I think that in most cases, no one's going to care.
Yeah.
Like I have a few models from Zach Games. You know what Zach Games is?
No, actually.
It's a Chinese distributor,
Oh, okay.
and it's drastically cheaper. So I got like Forge World Contemptor Dreadnoughts. I have 2 of them.
Yeah.
I bought the 2 models and then the 2 Volkite guns.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's 4 Volkite guns. It was like $60
Yep.
for all that. And
Yeah.
like you go to Forge World and it's like $180 for one guy and the 2 guns.
Yep.
So Yeah, okay, there's sometimes I gotta, like, all right, man, like, okay, I'm gonna go this way. And they're the same, and you can't even tell. They're resin,
Yep.
but you can't tell.
No.
Not at all. If I brought that to the tabletop, you'd think it's Forge World. And I mean, like, it looks like it, so. The only thing that's off about it is that I glued the shoulder backwards. So maybe someone will know, but.
Yeah.
Well, you've seen that army. Like, you've seen my Contemptor Dreadnought.
Yeah, no, it looks great.
Yeah, could you tell?
No,
exactly.
not at all.
And honestly, you feel it. It feels like a normal model. It's
Yep.
all resin because of Forge World.
Yep.
And that's it. So and Zach Games is like, it's pretty good. Like, I don't know. They have everything. My brother brought some venerable dreadnoughts for Grey Knights.
Okay.
But they don't come out with anything, and they don't even have psi cannons. But they're allowed to be equipped with psi cannons.
Yeah.
So then there's no G-dub psi cannon. So how do you?
Yeah.
So then you go to Zach Games.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's weird. You have to you order it, and then they send a request on PayPal, and then you pay.
Oh.
And
yeah,
then they
yeah,
send
yeah.
it. And it takes like 3 weeks, and then it's here.
Hey, you know what? Why not? Like, especially when, again, like you said, if the company isn't going to make products that you need, but they advertise that these models for the tabletop can use them, like, you got to find them somewhere.
For sure. And now that they pretty much abolished Forge World,
Yeah.
that's sad.
That's so frustrating because for the Play On Tabletop narrative tournament that we're playing in June,
Yeah.
to prep for that, I was fielding my Night Lords for the tournament, and again, like I reach out to a bunch of different artists on Instagram to do model swaps with. So I will paint something for them, they'll paint something for me, and then we'll just exchange models, and that way I can appreciate different artists' styles.
Yeah.
And so I reached out to a bunch of artists on Instagram, and people from Sweden and Hong Kong and Edmonton. They painted stuff up for me and sent it to me so that I could play in this tournament. And one of the models was the Night Lord specific Leviathan Dreadnought from Forge World.
Yeah, the guy that he's running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
we'll show a clip of that too.
And so I bought this model. One of the guys in the tournament flew to the UK. He was visiting family. He bought the model for me at the GW event that was on in May. Mm-hmm. And then he brought it back. I shipped the model to Edmonton. I bought all the GW guns for the Leviathan Dreadnought. He magnetized everything. He did an amazing paint job. He shipped it back to me. I got to play with it in the tournament. Now I can never use it again.
Was that the Maverick? Is that Maverick paints?
Nope.
No, it's a different guy?
No, Night Owl Minis.
Night Owl Minis. Okay, yeah. Either way, now you can't use it. So
Yeah, I can't use it.
what else can you not use, in Custodes? Because you have the Telemon. Can you use it?
Custodes are exempt.
Oh.
So Custodes can use everything.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Wow.
A bit of favoritism, maybe.
Yeah, you see that? So it's called Warhammer Legends now, hey? That's the things that you can't use.
Yeah.
They just released Death Guard Chaos Possessed, and they're Warhammer Legends, and they have Movement 7, Feel No Pain 5. They have it all. Oh, this is hilarious.
Yeah,
This is laughable,
right?
So you don't give that to any of the Death Guard normal units,
Yeah.
but this one Legend. Oh, okay, cool. Well, we can't
yeah.
use it, so thanks. Yeah, that's great. But have you? What about Combat Patrol? Have you played any Combat Patrol or?
Haven't played any Combat Patrol. The game is so new to me that I started playing 9th, and it was such a steep learning curve.
Yeah.
There's so many rules.
Yeah.
There's so many things you could do to give flavor to the armies. The armies had flavor, which is one thing I miss, because the Night Lords are known for terror and doing terror tactics and messing with people's leadership. And I thought that would be really cool for 10th, but it's all gone.
Yeah.
And it sucks, but it also simplifies the game for new people to come in. But I've only played 40k because that's what I've had the opportunity to do, and so that's what I started learning. But Combat Patrol seems interesting.
Yeah, and they say it's balanced, and I'm sure it is. I don't know what... I probably will never touch it, to be honest with you, because that's buying a box, painting that box, and then making sure somebody else has that exact box and then doing it, right?
Yeah.
I think just keeping it to, competitive tournament style, 2,000 points is the best way to play. I found in 9th, though, that edition was completely balanced.
Yeah.
There was no, overarching enemy. Sure, Death Watch was probably the worst, but at 40% win rate. Like, okay, whatever, right? And then everything else, the best army was a 55% win rate.
Yeah.
So they're pretty balanced. And I thought every army can kind of combat each one. There's bad matchups, of course.
Yeah.
Like with Death Guard, some of my worst matchups are Tau and Knights.
Yeah.
And it's only because they shoot. Now, if they were combat Knights, easy peasy. Yeah. But if they're shooting at me, no way.
You know, for the Escalation League that I joined and was playing against you, Custodes, for anybody new that's playing, super simple army to play that will dominate most people, especially if you're playing any kind of Space Marine, because everything was dealing 2 damage at that point.
Yeah.
So you just either shoot or, you know, go in melee and destroy armies. You just go to the center of the board and then
just hang out,
dominate.
Yeah, that's all they do. And yeah, actually, you were my only loss. I think I won every single game in like runaways. Like I think the last one I played in the last round was I tabled him turn 3.
Oh.
Yeah, it was Tyranids, and I just I don't know. Paragon War suits with full rerolls is just ridiculous.
I stopped playing the Custodes like a third of the way through the season.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because I wanted to practice the Night Lords for the narrative tournament with the play on, but I wasn't losing. Because I was playing other Custodes, I was playing everyone else, and it was just the closest game I had was playing another Custodes player, and I think playing you.
Oh, wow.
Everything else was just runaways. I was tabling everybody turn 3, turn 4.
What's that Telemon?
I didn't even field the Telemon.
Oh.
It was the Achilles Contemptor Dreadnought.
Right?
That
guy's
he was
good,
just running around, slaughtering everything, and he was hard to kill.
He does a lot of damage in combat, too.
Yeah. Yeah, he did.
D3+3, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
3+3, and then his shooting was half decent for somebody that isn't known for his shooting. So I stopped the Custodes, and I actually haven't painted them for a while. And then, just been focusing back on the Night Lords again.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I found with Death Guard my best matchup, one of my best ones besides Orcs, was definitely Custodes. Yeah. I mean, you pretty much eliminate everything they do. Yeah. Like, there's a Contagion that stops rerolls.
Yeah.
Everything's -1 damage to all their 2 damage thing. You half their damage. It's you fight first most of the time. They're not doing it. They're just like hitting me, and I'm just hitting harder back. Yeah. Like I would say Blight Lords are tougher than most of the rest of their army because they're 2+, 4++, toughness 5, and -1 damage, and they're just and 3 wounds. Like they're just really tough.
Yeah, but now in 10th, it's probably not the case anymore.
God no. No, they don't have -1 damage. They still have a 4-up invul, and their toughness 6.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
That's not bad.
It's cool.
Yeah.
But they move 4 inches. So there's that. And, I mean, you can always deep strike him, and there's always combos you can use. Like, if you did Typhus, if you put them in, he gives the -1 to hit to them, which is good. Or if you put Lord of Virulence by some Plague Burst Crawlers, they get +1 to hit, so then they can ignore the indirect. Which is pretty good. Yeah. Which is really good, right? And you just kind of march them up, and with vehicles being so good right now, you kind of march them ahead. Yeah. So I'm curious to try it. I still think I just want to play Necrons because I haven't fielded them so long, and they're fun.
Yeah. And that Lich Guard is ridiculous.
And the Lich Guard is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. They need to be shot off the table is what they need to be done. Yeah. Like, just shot off before they do anything. Yeah. Because they'll stay in combat, and they'll hold them center field for the rest of the game.
Yeah. Interesting against Tau, possibly.
Yeah, I mean, they're both shooter armies in general. It's just the Lich Guard are the only combat army, like the only combat unit, but most times they're shooter units. But I think Tau could wipe out a squad of Necron Warriors pretty easy, right? And at 20, you get some blast weapons in there, so what's that? +4 attacks?
Yeah.
Right? That's something.
Yep.
Right? And sure, they can reanimate, but they also fail Battle Shock all the time and go down to 0, and... You gotta really situate yourself, and being at 20, you're always gonna be seen. You can't really hide. There's just different ways. So against a shooter, I don't know. I'd have to play. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the stratagems are good. So like every single stratagem on there, I would use.
Yeah. Same thing with the Chaos Space Marines. Everything I would use, and there's actually some really good ones for Custodes as well. So I do like, from what I've seen so far, it seems like every army has some decent stratagems.
Yeah. Death Guard doesn't.
Yeah.
not to piss on them some more, but you know their -1 damage is a stratagem now.
Oh wow!
It's called Disgusting Resilient. That's what the rule was before, but it's 2 CP and only in combat, so only in melee. or melee. Only in melee and 1 unit.
Wow.
Fucking what?
Yeah,
It's
totally,
like
eh?
2 CP to do it. Oh my gosh! Like I'd rather just be or I'd rather be interrupting.
Yeah.
Like, and now that we don't get CPs often, like, why would you? That's a lot.
Yep.
That's a lot. So that's just silly. That's silliness.
Totally.
Yeah. But again, there's a few combos. A guy just actually went 5-0 at a GT with Death Guard.
Wow.
Yeah, was pretty cool. He has a podcast called Disgustingly Resilient, or I think they changed the name now because that rule doesn't exist.
Yeah.
They said, like, not Disgusting Resilient. They changed it to something, or like, bottom tier. Yeah. But, they did go 5-0, so it's cool.
Nice.
Yeah, he had Materian. And that's why I brought Play on. Like, I was like, I'm not going to use Materian again.
Yeah.
So I got to bring him. And he was actually a rock star. He died once.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, to Necrons. But that's okay. That game was so bad.
Yeah.
Like, well, you saw that field, right? Like, we could actually literally deploy 3 inches away from them.
Yep.
So he's a shooter army, and I could just be like, "Oh, I'm going to deploy right in front of you, and I'm gonna make this charge."
Yeah.
your guys are in combat immediately.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Meanwhile, when I was playing Necrons, there's so much ruins in front of us, he couldn't actually shoot me. So then he started coming to the center of the board, where I met him with all of my melee, and just like absolutely decimated him off the board. I felt bad for the guy.
Yeah, that's how you beat Necrons. Get them in melee, and you're good.
Yeah.
Like you'll.
Except for today.
Oh right, yeah, yeah. Except for today, yeah, because there's Nightbringer and Lich card.
Yeah.
Oh, Nightbringer too. Oh, he's good.
Yeah.
That Gaze of Death's pretty good.
Yeah.
That shot. That was his old power.
Okay.
And in 9th edition, it was 9 inches, and you have to roll a dice. And I think if you're 3 up, if it's a 3 up, it goes off, and it does D3 mortal wounds to somebody. But you always get it, and you could cast 2 psychic powers essentially if you didn't advance or if you didn't advance.
Okay.
So if you move them, you can cast 2. So you do Gaze of Death, and then you do another one.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So they went with 3 wound cap too per phase. So I don't know if they're better or not now.
Yeah.
The weapon's the same. The scythe is the same thing.
Okay.
I don't know if they're better or not, but they seem good. They seem annoying as fuck.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
halving damage, like
Yeah. Oh man.
and could you imagine all your legionnaires as a 2 damage? Oh yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Well, that's why I like them. It's just there's so many attacks, and then wounding and exploding 6s on 5s. No.
That is nuts.
Yeah.
When you first read that rule, what's it called again?
Dark Packs.
Dark Packs, yeah. When you first read it, I was like, that's kind of okay.
Yeah.
Like, it's not crazy, but I don't want my guys dying.
Yeah.
Sure enough, it's okay.
Yeah. No, 100%. It's supposed to be like probably a 50% chance that you'll suffer mortal wounds, but for the most part, it's been far less than that for me.
Yeah. Because you just have to pass the leadership test. Is that tying it and then?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that and you get free rerolls too with the banner, so your chances now increase even more.
Yep.
That seems good. Like you spent 1 CP, ended the dark pack, and you had rerolling all wounds and exploding 5s and lethal hits on 5s.
Yeah. Some of those were stratagems, but yeah, it was trying to take that guy down, the Nightbringer, like.
Hey, when you roll 4-ups, though, I mean, what are you gonna do, right?
Totally.
Even on that reroll, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
there's a 6 and a 4. I was like, I'm sorry, bro.
Yeah.
Anyways, it was a good intro to that for 1,000 points. I am curious to play 2,000. I was gonna enter the tournament today, but I couldn't make it. There was an RTT and it was a Highlander event. Have you heard of those?
I have, but I don't quite know exactly what a Highlander is.
So it's battle line squads. You can have up to 3.
Okay.
Everything else is 1.
Gotcha.
So you couldn't do multiple Terminator squads. You couldn't do anything like that. You just have to be whatever. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll enter my Necrons. I can enter in, 60 warriors and then 1.
Yeah.
But I couldn't make it. But I was gonna go two Catans, and I was going nuts. I don't know what I was gonna do. Silent King maybe. Just gonna throw them in there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to, a few months from now. Right now, I have a bit of painting to do to kind of fulfill some of the model swaps for the models I got for the tournament, but have some other people that are making models for me. I'm going to have a completely custom Night Lord Abaddon proxy.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think you showed me a picture of that.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
There's this awesome guy, Grim Dark Dystopia from Australia, who's making it.
Okay.
It's got like the legs of Conrad Kurtz and like
Oh wow.
and, like Forge World pieces. And so it's like Conrad Kurtz legs, Abaddon claw and chest and cloak, and like Sevatar head. He's custom making a chain glaive, and he's making everything magnetized. So I'll be fielding that as my Abaddon, because I don't actually like Abaddon at all.
Yeah, is he not a good model now, or?
No, I just don't like the character of Abaddon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I just, I'll proxy something that will be Abaddon on the
Yeah,
field,
yeah.
but it'll be something completely different.
Is his rules good now, or?
He's actually not bad.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not bad. He's got some good melee. He's got okay shooting. He has some auras that can benefit everybody, giving like, invulnerable saves. He can get you free CP each round as well. So, yeah.
Does he have to lead Black Legion?
Nope.
Okay,
no,
good.
because everything is Chaos Space Marines now. There is there is no legions, aside from World Eaters and Death Guard and stuff. But anything that's Chaos Space Marines is just Chaos Space Marines. At this point, maybe they'll add in some flavor when the Codex comes out. But
Yeah.
For now.
Well,
Space Marines.
my friend, I think you know him, Curly. He has been trying to build over the last 6 months an EC army. That's Emperor's Children. They don't exist anymore.
Yep.
Yeah, they just
Chaos
completely.
Space Marines.
Yeah, they're just Chaos Space Marines now. I feel like they're gonna make a codex for him though.
Yeah.
I think they will.
Probably.
Well, because if you think about it, you have one of each of the other gods, but nothing for Slaanesh, which would be EC.
Yep.
So I would say Emperor's Children would probably be their own standalone.
Yeah.
Then you have your Death Guard, your World Eaters, and then you have your Thousand Sons.
Yep.
Right? So you have the 4, and then Chaos Space Marines to field everything else, like, kind of that Alpha Legion, Black Legion, all that other stuff.
Yep.
Right? But we'll see. I don't know. I think they'd be good. Like, they always were good.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, they fight first all the time,
Yep.
and Sonic, like, they have Sonic guns.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, man, Sonic guns used to be crazy.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were. What would they do? Like, were they auto wounders? I don't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were doing something cool.
Totally.
Yeah, you could like put a blaster, like a sonic blast, and it was like a guitar. They played
Yeah,
guitar.
yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty cool models that you can do lots of stuff with for Emperor's Chosen.
children. Emperor's
Children.
Chosen is Custodies.
Yeah, Emperor's. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, Custodies on the brain.
Yeah, kind of remind me of that quote from The Office, like with Dwight. Do you ever watch The Office?
No.
Oh,
haven't.
okay. I won't make the quote then because it won't make sense of it. It's like, anyways, yeah. Well, we can probably start wrapping this up, and it was great having you on. It's awesome that we played one game of Escalation League and then, kind of grew a friendship out of it and just kind of clicked on that and like just the thrill of the hobby. That's the greatest thing about Warhammer 40K. It does bring people together.
Yeah.
And, and it's not just about playing a game and rolling dice. Like, we're making stories like that one with the shots and you roll 3 1s. Like, that's hilarious, right? Like, and then me making all the saves or like me not making all the saves. Like, oh yeah, he's dead.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
or when you curse me for the double 1 charge.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you give me an opportunity to like roll wounds to actually take out your Nightbringer.
Yeah.
And then you end up rolling the saves anyways. He just had to live.
Yeah, fate decided that was it, right?
Yep.
So that's what the whole game brings. And then the other side of the game of building an army and creating your own narrative and, like, creating the red mains and everything else. And, like, it's cathartic just to even sit there and paint. Like, it's, it's your time. You can listen to an audiobook and you just paint. And that's the great thing about the game. And then you can show it off to people. Like, hey, this is what I did, right?
Yeah, totally.
And then you just meet great people. I've been, in a lot of the nerd community, well, the game community, I've been in lots of different games, and I've never met a community like Warhammer before.
Yeah, it's really special, Like I said, I've met people from all over the world, and I haven't felt like this welcome into a community before. Like, I have people always commenting, talking to me about painting, and asking me to give them like tips, and I have no problem doing that. And like, I've worked with people on special projects to like raise money for charity. And,
oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, and like, help people across the world through tough times by just sending them a model of like their favorite faction. And it just brings people together when you've never actually met them face to face.
Right.
So it's something special.
It is, and you just met these like on Instagram, those people, right? Like and do follow him. I've been following him since I've met him. It's Mark Minis. It's he really, and you'll see some clips here, and what he paints is quite incredible. Man, you are quite talented at it.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no, I mean it.
Appreciate
Like when we first saw, I remember like all my friends were like kind of around, like, oh my god, these custodians are crazy. I'm like, yeah, they're nuts. And here I am with like my Celestine, like, no, but and you've helped me out too in painting, and like you've pushed me too, and got to the pigment paints and even the oils and everything else. So thank you.
Yeah, not a problem, man. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, and hey, well, let's get a game in and let's make sure the audio works next time.
For sure.
Yeah, and maybe we'll do a 2000. I don't know. We'll see what time we have.
I'd be down for 2000.
Yeah, I want to learn. I want to like learn 10th again because I want to play competitive.
Yeah.
But with everything else, it's a lot of time. And but I love the game. So
yeah.
Anyways, well that's it. And thanks again.
Okay. Thanks for having me.
Cool. Bye.